Welcome to Kardec Radio, where you nourish your soul daily. As you wait for our next program, The Medium's Book, visit Kardec Publisher at kardecpublisher.com to check out our latest books. Also, check out our Kardec Flicks, Spiritism in a Click. Just go to kardecflix.com. And now with you, our host, Dr. Vanessa Anseloni, with the program The Medium's Book. Enjoy it.
Welcome, dear friends, to Kardec Radio. Kardec Radio is here with you to nourish our souls daily. And we're nourishing our souls daily with the program, The Medium's Book. Since January, it's been 8 months. And we are already on chapter 27. And you're welcome to join us. And if you want to recapitulate what we've been doing this far, it's very easy. It's very simple. All you need to do is to go to our playlist in the beautiful YouTube channel of Kardec Radio. So here we are. It is a great opportunity for us to study about Kardec's writings. Kardec brings to us the opportunity to learn about who we are as immortal spirits, as mediums. Are you a medium? Am I a medium? We are all mediums. Since the first chapter of this book, we get to know that mediumship is not a gift. Nobody's a medium because they are gifted mediumship. Mediumship is not a gift. Mediumship is like intelligence, an inherent ability, faculty that we educate to higher and higher levels. To do what? To be instruments of the good. Good mediums are good instruments. So here we are. Today we're going to start a chapter that talks about contradictions, deceptions. It's so important. It's the chapter that has this famous sentence. It's better to push away 9 truths than accept 1 lie. To understand more about this, I'm going to open some slides that make our lives so much easier, right? So here it is. Let us share with you a few slides where Kardec is bringing to us the teachings. Chapter 27, part 2. He begins by talking about contradictions, and he says, spirit communications can show contradictions or errors, mistakes. And you're like scratching your head and saying, but why? How come? Well, it's important to understand why this happens and how to interpret the messages wisely. In this chapter specifically, we're going to explore the causes and the guidelines for discernments. Why are there contradictions? If you ask the same questions to different spirits, you may have different answers. Why? Well, spirits have different levels of knowledge and morality. It's like going to the streets and interviewing people. Whoa, what do you think about the rain today? Some people say, great. Some people say, oh, I don't like it. So who is right, who is wrong, right? Different levels of perception, of knowledge, of experience, of moral education. Also, inferior spirits may pretend to be superior or lie deliberately. Observe this. people who know very little, they like to give opinion about everything. And people who know a lot, they refrain from opinionating about everything in life. Mediums themselves may distort messages unconsciously or consciously because of the influence of their own ideas. It's like a vase. If the vase is blue, when the light goes through, you may see the other side blue, right? If the jar is dirty, the water in there is going to be dirty. So we need to think about those. So one, different levels of spirits. Inferior spirits like to talk about any and everything and then don't care about lying. And three, the influence of mediums on the messages. Now, about the mistakes in spirit communications. Some errors are due to the ignorance of the spirit. They are talking about what they know. You're going to ask them, how is it there? Oh, it's terrible. And then you ask another spirit, they're going to say, it's amazing where I am. People are so kind, so friendly, so they are at different levels of evolution. Others stem from the mediums, the mistakes. They may come from the medium's imperfections. And this is very interesting because there are three main types that Kardec outlines for us. The medium's lack of concentration, okay? The medium may not be focused. It happened another day. Something was a little busy and crowded. I was psychographing. And then on the third sentence, I had my eyes closed, but I felt that on the third sentence, something was off. When I read a little bit of it, I said, no, the spirit that is writing this is not a very evolved spirit because this is not true. I tried again. On that day, on the meeting before a mediumistic meeting, things were very loud. Some people were there, they were talking. It really disrupted the concentration. And due to my lack of concentration, it was hard to connect with the spirits and bring the message as clear as possible. It took 3 times to actually bring it to the core. Also, another imperfection that comes from the medium that may corrupt, let's say, the spirit communication, the desire to impress. So people believe in you and then you change consciously, unconsciously. And the personal beliefs of the person may interfere. So I remember once somebody from Russia communicated with us way back when in a medium, and she said, I received this whole book from a Jewish spirit talking about the chosen people. Can you validate? And we said, look, good spirits will never talk about or mention that there is chosen because nobody's chosen, everybody's chosen. We are all children of God alike. But it was her belief that led her to communicate with such spirit, that led her to believe in this. So the lack of concentration, the desire to impress, which is vanity, and the personal beliefs. That's why we need to improve ourselves always as mediums to decrease these imperfections and thus improve, elevate our spirit communication to more effective levels. You may be asking, as I was asking when I was reading this, How then do I discern the truth? How? Kardec explains. This is chapter 27 of the book, The Medium's Book, by Kardec, part 2. So, if you're here with us, feel free to make comments or ask questions. Now, let's go back and see what Kardec will reveal. First, he says, reason and logic test the spirit. Some people, they think the spirits speak and we accept. No, we're going to reason it. Oh, they are asking us to go to the shelter and help people. What kind of spirit would tell us this? A bad spirit? No, a good spirit, because good spirits, they always encourage us to do the good. Another spirit will tell us, oh, don't talk to that person because they come from a certain place. That's not a good spirit. Good spirits will never create dissension. They will never discriminate against anybody. Like Jesus, they actually encourage us to this unity, solidarity, fraternity. So Kardec says that when we test the spirits, we prefer messages that are consistent, moral, in harmony with established truth, and we then compare communications from multiple sources. It's fascinating how one idea here may show up somewhere else without people talking to one another. It's the timing. That message has to come to humanity. That invention, that idea, that message. So, key guidelines that Kardec gives to us. 1. Avoid blind faith. 2. Use moral superiority and intellectual coherence as filters. Meaning, we prioritize messages that are deeply Christ conscious, in the sense of all embracing, all forgiving, togetherness, compassion, and of elevated intellectual content too. Doesn't mean difficult, it means coherent. Messages that are instructive and uplifting are signs of higher spirits. The good spirits will never say, oh, be careful, don't go out of your home because a problem is going to happen. Those are the voices of bad spirits trying to manipulate us. Be wary of spirits who seek flattery or give materialistic advice. Those spirits who say, you're amazing. People don't know how amazing you are as a medium. Those voices are not the voices of good spirits. Good spirits will always tell us, keep on improving yourself. Keep on serving others. Keep on studying. Keep on loving. Keep on forgiving yourself and others. They're never going to tell us otherwise. They're never going to tell us, oh, you were amazing, you're great. Spirits who say that, they're not good spirits. And those who give materialistic advice. Be careful. Very careful. So Kardec then concludes in this chapter the following. That mistakes in spirit messages do not invalidate spiritism. He actually has a beautiful sentence saying to us the following. That because a science goes through certain mistakes, you're not going to X out that science. And Spiritism is the science of the spirits. And because mediums make mistakes, we can't invalidate it all. And he says something that is quite interesting. At the very end of the chapter, I'm just opening here. By the way, I have my book right here, both on my iPad and the phone. And let me open this chapter again here. At the very end, he says something that is so interesting because Kardec asked question, the spirits answer, and it says the following at the very end of the chapter. He says, if people gave up their belief because of deceptions, it would be because their faith was not very solid in the first place. People who would abandon Spiritism because of a simple deception would show that they had not understood it and that they had missed its main point. And God allows deception in order to test the perseverance of true adherents and to punish those who use Spiritism simply as means of entertainment. This message came from the team of the Spirit of Truth to all of us. And this is interesting because you know and I know that there are many people who stop, right? They stop going to a spiritist center because, oh, the directors of the center are not perfect. And did you think they were perfect? Where is it written that any of us are perfect? So you see, it's an excuse, a very childish excuse. They hear slanders, lies, and they believe them and say, I'm no longer Spiritism because I can't believe Spiritists can do this, that, and the other. Excuse me, huh? I'm a scientist. As a neuroscientist, you'll find good scientists and bad scientists. I'm not going to stop being a scientist or believing or knowing about science because a few of them commit fraud. The same for the science of the spirits. If you enter a spiritist center, you can't play or claim naivety, claim it, saying that, oh, I stopped because. And you, what about you? Are you perfect? It's shocking, as Kardec shows to us, when people play that game. It's a game of immaturity, by the way. So, as we go back to the conclusions that Kardec brings to us, he brings to us in his conclusions, hold on, friends. He says, just as in human communication, discernment is essential. Now, let's talk about discernment. A function, a feature of the human mind that is in the mind of the spirit and is modulated physically by our prefrontal cortex. That prefrontal cortex needs to be mature in order for discernment to take place. So, scientists say that by age 25 we have mature prefrontal cortex, but this is relative to the comparison that they did. It could be that people much younger than that have a very mature prefrontal cortex, and there are people who may be much older and not very good maturity of the prefrontal cortex. So we're talking about a feature of the spirit when we achieve that level of discernment in life. And that takes practice for us to achieve. To discern means we need to reflect, to observe, to evaluate in order to discern. So, as Kardec says in this chapter, we can't sort out truth from what is not true at a glance. We need to observe, reflect, evaluate in order for us to come to a conclusion. But nowadays, people are having a hard time discerning because everything is in the click of a button. You push and you go, you push and you go. But here, discernment is not a push and go button. We need time. And by the way, discernment is the result of a very calming mind, a mind that is taking time to evaluate and observe. It doesn't come in a click. So, for us to prevent contradictions and deceptions in spirit communication, we need discernment. As Kardec says, we observe, we analyze the language, observe the facts in order to know about that spirit phenomena. And finally, the role of the medium in the group is to act with prudence and sincerity. So as Mentor Joseph says, if I cannot handle the truth in my daily life, if I'm constantly hiding the truth from others, if I'm constantly, I won't be a good medium. A good medium is always authentic, straightforward, sincere, in order for the truth to come through us and shine without any contradiction or deception. In this reflection, two questions come to mind. What qualities make a good medium or somebody who studies the spirit phenomena? How can we cultivate better discernment in spiritual matters? I think this last sentence in this chapter crowns the chapter and the whole medium's book. It's better to reject 10 truths than to accept one falsehood, one lie. What about us in our daily lives? Are we open to the truth? Or are we stumbling? The good spirits, they need courageous minds. They need sincere hearts. You and I are being asked and invited to the beauty of the study of this book. Study. Let us always study this chapter 27. There are questions and answers between Kardec and the higher spirit, especially the team of the Spirit of Truth, answering the questions about many possibilities. Today, we close this chapter, preparing ourselves for the upcoming one next week when we're going to study true frauds, trickery, charlatanism, and we're going to understand how and why those happen and how we should protect ourselves from such occurrences. Because mediumship, though the world doesn't understand yet, we do. Mediumship is healing. Mediumship is for the improvement of humanity. The day we study and educate our mediumship, the world is going to be much better. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to write to us at kardecradio@gmail.com. For now, we wish you many blessings and we wish you a wonderful opportunity to read this in Kardec's very writings, in the Medium's book. Thank you, friends, and see you next week in another The Medium's Book program here at Kardec Radio.